The fourth pillar is inculcating a spirit of entrepreneurism or entrepreneurial spirit. And I think this is really, really important because when you look at the great economies of the world, it's not government planning. It's not big companies that are driving innovation, but it's small enterprises, it's medium enterprises that really driving innovation, really driving creativity, aspiring to create jobs. You go to small businesses growing into bigger businesses, that's where you have that hive of economic activity. The only way we as an economy can adopt a faster adoption rate is by inculcating an entrepreneurial spirit. A faster adoption rate in terms of technology, creativity, and innovation. Even with billions invested to help entrepreneurs and many more enablers in the present ecosystem, Malaysia is still underperforming as far as entrepreneurial spirit and the entrepreneurial drive is concerned. Global Entrepreneurship Monitor did a study and they highlighted our weakness. Early stage entrepreneurial activity rate in Malaysia, that's the intention to start a business, is amongst the lowest in the region. 7% of our entrepreneurs expect to hire more than 20 employees, and 84% think they will create less than 5 jobs. That speaks to the level of confidence of entrepreneurs in Malaysia. They don't think they'll employ many people, they don't think they'll succeed, and many, many young people today still have that attitude. When I get out of university, I want to just makan gaji. I want a salary job, preferably with the government, because then I get a pension at the end of it. We have to change that. We have to create more risk takers. Not everyone can be an entrepreneur, but not enough young people have that courage and determination, or we're not fostering that culture for them to go out there and become business people, where they can create a business and they can create an enterprise. We need more Afzals from Thai, we need more Tony Fernandez from Asia, or maybe one Tony is enough. We need more of these people. Because these are people who are really at the cutting edge of innovation. Yes, the government helps them by giving them an opportunity, by letting them take over companies like Time. Afzal was given the opportunity to take over Time and run Time. Tony was given the opportunity to buy over Asia. But they've taken that on and they've gone from strength to strength. It's important for us to see new businesses as potential clients or partners in this global supply chain, not as competitors occupying the same space. Banks should make it as easy as possible for an aspiring entrepreneur to get a loan. I think we should encourage this rather than be seen as somebody who obstructs or as an obstacle towards them starting their business. Established conglomerates should value the freshness and flexibility of startups in hiring vendors and rewarding smaller contractors. That's why I've always said GLCs, big companies, should not crowd out smaller businesses. You should encourage them, you should engage them, and you should enhance their participation in the economy. Mentoring and networking should not just be between established entrepreneurs and new ones, but also between big businesses and small startups. It's not just about individuals becoming mentors, but it's also about big businesses, mentoring small businesses and giving them that opportunity. And the entrepreneurial spirit should also be inculcated amongst your executives, not just amongst business people who said people who are salaried can't be entrepreneurial. I drive this at my ministry. I said, even in the ministry, we should think about being entrepreneurial, lowering costs, increasing productivity, getting better returns for the government. And we should encourage our executives to become entrepreneurial, not in subordination, but to make our executives more innovative, more daring, more brave. Companies like GE put mature Turks, successful managers in larger businesses, but also known for their willingness to challenge convention in charge of new businesses. So identify people who are creative, who are entrepreneurial, and let them run your new businesses. IBM, which has operations in 65 countries, keeps their freshness after 114 years in existence by unorthodox, unwritten rules. One, their 8,000 researchers can spend 15% of their time working on an idea without approval from management. Imagine that. 15% of your time, you don't need approval from management to work on an idea. That's what IBM does. In order to free their researchers into doing something that they think is good, they don't need to go through the hierarchy, but they are directed towards coming up with innovation on their own time. 2, 30% of their sales must come from products 4 years and younger. IBM is a KPI where 30% of their sales must come from new products. Push the new products, innovate, and keep up with the changing curve of technology. Big corporations in Malaysia should maximize the creativity and freedom of the executives, especially younger ones, in order to harness their innovation and in order to assist your organization in thriving. And here's the bonus point. LRM did a study, and they concluded that companies that allow their employees more freedom are 10 to 20 times more likely to outperform companies with a rigid structure. So that's about letting go. And I do that in government as well. I empower people. My number one rule in my ministry is the meritocracy of ideas. I said ideas in my ministry does not have a hierarchy. You don't have to be a KSU or a minister or a secretary general to give an idea. If that idea comes from a S-48 officer who's 30 years old, only been in service for 5 years, but that's the best idea in the room, then that idea wins the day. It doesn't win the day just because it comes from the minister. It doesn't win the day just because it comes from the Secretary General. There must be a meritocracy of ideas in the ministry, in business, in government, wherever. It doesn't matter where that idea comes from, because ideas come from everywhere, and it's up to you to value that idea, to allow it to thrive, and to adopt it. The fifth pillar is preparing for a more globalized world. And I think this is something that is often said, but I'm going to go into some deep dive detail. Now, last year, Malaysia, as chair of ASEAN, oversaw the establishment of the ASEAN Economic Community, which will see economic liberalization, which will see the region with a market size as big as 2.6 trillion US dollars and a potential market for more than 700 million people. Earlier this year, Parliament passed this big motion that allowed for Malaysia to sign an agreement called the Trans-Pacific Partnership, where this is another significant step towards our inclusion into a common market, along with 11 other countries comprising 40% of the global economy with a GDP of almost 30 trillion US dollar. We are now negotiating with other countries to be part of a Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, led by China, an alliance populated by more than 3 billion people. So we are aligning everywhere. This is what I spoke of earlier. The economic diplomacy, where we have TPP with America, we have RCEP with China, where we position Malaysia so that we can benefit from these bilateral, multilateral FTAs, and this will be signed either by us as Malaysia or together with ASEAN. Now, with these FTAs come benefits as well as challenges in the globalized world economy. TPP, for example, though we expect an increase in our GDP by up to 211 billion US dollars cumulatively, there are new obstacles that we need to address. A lot of people ask me, is the TPP good? I say it's good, better to be in than out, but let's not kid ourselves. We have to be ready for the TPP. Now, our most important industry, oil and gas, may be impacted negatively because there will be some liberalization there, which will allow for greater competition, and our downstream players may find competition a bit difficult. Key industries such as construction, retail, palm oil may see neutral impact. Cost of business may increase due to unexpected union claims. Now, a lot of people said, we disagree with the TPP. The workers were quiet. The workers were quiet because under the TPP we have to adopt greater union rights. It'll be easier for unions to take claims and stuff like that. So worker rights are enhanced under TPP. The positive side of investor-state dispute settlement, ISDS, will only be seen if our global companies, our companies, are ready for dispute settlements with jurisdictions in which they feel they've been unfairly treated. There are challenges that face our Bhumiputra businesses, state-owned enterprise, small, medium industries, which might lose out without structural reform and capacity building. All I'm saying is this, is that we signed this TPP, but it's important for us to make these changes now, before it's ratified and before we fully go into TPP mode. So it is of utmost importance that key players in our private sector expedite these transitory measures before 2018. Not only should you aim to maintain dominance in our domestic market, but you should aim bigger and gain foothold abroad. Signing the TPP alone is not going to create market access for us. We have to be ready to grab that market access. TPP is a foot in the door, but if you're not having the best products and services, we will not benefit from TPP. But I think we can be confident. We've done it before, and we can do it again. Look at AirAsia, again, a favorite example of mine. Expanded from one route, 2 planes, to a staff of 250 that travels 88 destinations, carrying 220 million passengers worldwide. So we've done it. We've built small companies into global companies. Petronas started with 15 people. Now it's become one of the biggest oil and gas companies in the world, operating in more than 50 countries. Axiata, more than 275 million customers across 9 countries, and our banks, which are branches all over the world. So it's been done before. And these opportunities that arise out of trade agreements that we've signed need to be acted upon by the private sector. The more Malaysian companies establish a footing overseas, the more connected and expanded Malaysia is in the global economic value chain. Now, by way of conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the most important step for responsible development in line with the national agenda, the private sector must incorporate national objectives like innovation, inclusivity, and sustainability. This is my last message to all of you from the private sector today. I've spoken about the challenges, I've spoken about human capital.